What has happened to Yeezy? A brand that once dominated the sneaker industry, a brand that every hypebeast once wore and every child wanted so badly, a brand that you recognized by clicking on this video. I mean, what has happened to it, really? Pairs used to sell for thousands of dollars, but now certain pairs aren't even selling out, and they are going for nowhere near what they used to on the secondary market. Adidas are even getting so desperate, they are re-releasing the old colorways. I mean, they're rumored to be releasing throughout this whole summer, releasing the old colorways. It's pretty obvious they're getting desperate and trying to get Adidas back to that top spot just by releasing old shoes. Are they just ruining their legacy by doing this? Let's have a quick look at the whole of Adidas's and Yeezy's history so we can understand some of its sales techniques and how they actually got to this top spot in the sneaker industry, and also how they fell so far down. So, December 2006, this was the release of the Bapester and Kanye West College Dropout. This is an OG holy grail to so many sneakerheads and sneaker collectors in the world. This is the start of Kanye's real impact in the sneaker world. It's his first step through the door, and it's a very iconic shoe for so many people. This goes for thousands of dollars, and the main thing with this shoe is it's hard to actually know how much it's worth due to just how rare it is, because, I mean, it released in December 2006. July 2009, this was when Kanye West did a collaboration with the Louis Vuitton Jaspers, and they released 3 colorways. Now, this shoe is also known as the Louis Vuitton Don. This is very significant because it shows how kind of Kanye and Louis Vuitton were really ahead of this whole trend, because we have the Jordan 1 Dior now. They were way ahead of that, and I think this is pretty smart of Louis Vuitton on their part to actually understand how influential Kanye was and could be so early on. So I think that's a really good business move from their point of view. Later on in 2009, Kanye signs with Nike for a sneaker deal and essentially releases the Nike Air Yeezy 1 in Zen Grey, Net, and Blink. Again, these are some of the most sought after shoes in the whole sneaker industry. Pretty much everyone wants these pairs, but you can't get them. Only the celebrity sneaker collectors have them, and this is pretty much the textbook definition of how supply and demand works. The supply on this shoe was tiny, releasing only a few thousand pairs, and the demand obviously being Kanye's first real sneaker, especially with Nike. I mean, that is so significant, which creates a massive demand and hype for the shoe. Small supply, massive demand. The resale price reflects that incredibly, and the price is going for thousands of dollars. It's clear that this shoe still has a huge impact to this day. On the 9th of June 2012, the Nike Air Yeezy 2 in Solar Red, Pure Platinum, and Red October released. Now, you already know this shoe. The Red October is one of the most recognizable shoes probably of all time, and it's another perfect example of supply and demand. However, one thing that makes this shoe even more significant is this was the last set of Nike and Kanye Yeezy shoes, because they fell out in a disagreement. You know, Kanye being Kanye, it's rumored that he wasn't getting a cut of sales, or, you know, he just wasn't able to do whatever he wanted, and he actually, you know, ended that contract, didn't renew it, whatever. I'm not too sure on the specifics, but that was the end of the Kanye Air Yeezy era. 2013, Adidas and Yeezy are announced. Now, during this time, Kanye can be seen wearing Ultra Boosts back when they used to resell, as well as NMDs later on. However, the first Adidas and Yeezy release was the Yeezy 750 Boost in a light grey, chocolate, and triple black, with only 9,000 pairs releasing. Now, at the time, this was incredibly low due to the actual amount of demand for the first release of an Adidas and Yeezy shoe. Now, this is the start of a trend that Adidas and Yeezy follow pretty much together for many future releases, and this is they use low stock to increase demand for a product by making it look scarce. You know, it's the same principle used today in the diamond industry. Companies like De Beers, at one point controlled 80 to 85% of the diamonds in the world, and still today control about 30%. This pretty much gives them a monopoly. They can inflate the price. It creates the idea of scarcity because they hold them back. And Adidas stuck to this principle. If they can make a shoe seem rare, they can make it seem desirable. They can make it seem scarce. They can make you want that shoe by simply reducing the supply. The problem with this is it reduces sales, and Kanye loves money, which isn't a bad thing, but for a brand like Yeezy, it can really corrupt it because they depend on resellers bringing the hype to the brand. This is my opinion, and there's definitely debate here, but there is some logic to the idea that resellers increase sales and demand for a product. You know, would you want something if other people didn't? It's that sheep mentality of following the crowd. If the resellers will go there, so will other people. It's a very interesting strategy from Adidas. Yeezy repeated this technique for pretty much all of their Yeezy 350 Boost V1 range. Shoes such as the Turtle Dove, Moon Rock, Pirate Black, Oxford Tan, We don't have exact stock numbers, but stock was tiny and demand was huge for this. With the boost, with the prime knit upper, it was a perfect shoe and it had an insane resale price, literally thousands of dollars. The shoe looked so good as well, and it's also probably one of the most replicated and most poorly replicated shoe of all time. I mean, these shoes were everywhere with just knockoffs flying about the place. And in 2016, this was the release of the Yeezy 350 V2. Again, probably one of the most popular shoe models in the world, or at least recognizable. This is when Yeezy became a real household name and everyone was aware of the brand. But recognition doesn't generate sales unless stock numbers are there. And they weren't. All of the first few Yeezy 350 V2s were made in a really limited quantity. Again, to generate the hype. This is Adidas' technique, and it's not a bad technique, and it is a pretty common technique. Pretty much everyone can look at these shoes, tell you they are a Yeezy, and also tell you that they cost a lot of money. More styles released over the next few years, such as the Bread, Zebra, Triple White, Semi-Frozen Yellow, Belunga, and Butter. Again, these are all pretty iconic Yeezys because these were the first few. But releasing this many colorways when realistically there wasn't actually that much diversity between them does have an effect. Over these few years that these different colors had released, stock numbers had increased and it slowly became washed out. The public and the media were also noticing this. In an article, Hypebeast literally wrote, additionally, Yeezys have seen a drop in resale price, dropping from approximately $1,500 to around $500 to $550 due to the increased supply, according to StockX. And this was written a long time ago. This was like 2017. In a marketing stunt or a cash grab or, you know, just Kanye being Kanye, on the 21st of September 2018, the Yeezy Triple White restocked and was announced releasing 1 million pairs. This was the most pairs Yeezys had ever been produced in. I mean, this is massive if you look at the graphs compared to previous stock numbers. This was also joined with Kanye having a massive rant on Twitter saying that Yeezys would be available for everyone. Probably not the smartest move in a brand that literally relies on being sought after. So yeah, not the best move there. As usual, over time, Kanye and Adidas just released more plain, boring shoes that literally all look the same as each other. One interesting technique they did do was they used reflective pairs. So they'd release a pair of shoes in large quantities, but also release a 3M reflective version with only 5,000 pairs. This is what they did for the statics. And this was quite interesting because this static pair would obviously go for thousands of dollars and would, well, this static pair would go for a lot more because it had the reflective stitching, but it actually looked exactly the same if you didn't have a torch in the dark up to it as a non-reflective pair. So you skip to 2020 and this is really the downfall of Yeezy. Countless pairs have released, which some of I've completely forgotten about. If I just read you some names: Clay, Hyperspace, Trueform, Glow, Black, Antilla, Synth, Lundmark, Cloud White, Citrin, Yeezy Real, and Yeechiel. I do recognize them for the most part. However, it does only get worse throughout 2020. I mean, at this point, very few Yeezys stood out because, I mean, you just couldn't remember the names of them. And in a few cases, they were only just selling out. A few more pairs dropped, such as the Linen, Sulfur, and worst of all, the Zion. Pretty much every reseller got a pair of these because they were meant to rise by December or whatever they said. Prices, few months on, still bad. If you held these, I mean, I don't even know what to say about you. You are cursed. The same thing happened with the Carbon 350s. I got a few pair of these and I did manage to sell them. But yeah, these were super easy to get. I mean, you could get so many pairs of these for so easily. These were not a flex though. If you had these, I mean, it's not really lack of skill, but you're just going off the basis that Yeezys go up in value. And that isn't always the case because stock numbers on these were huge. If you wanted to get a pair for retail, you could have. People who wanted them got them for retail. That you couldn't sell these to anyone. Like, prices were so low. They were below retail. You pretty much had to take a loss on these. For me, these two drops, this was the lowest Yeezy had ever gotten. This was the thing that marked to me the death of Yeezy as a brand and, you know, how low they'd gotten with pairs not selling out, easy to get, and impossible to sell. No one wanted them. And this is my point of view from a reseller, so it might be a little bit different to a collector, but I still think it's interesting to see how far Yeezy had fallen from releasing pairs like the Zebra to the Zion. I mean, it's ridiculous. And even more pairs have released since then that I've barely heard of. The Natural, Fade, Sandtaupe, Ash Stone, Ash Pearl, Ash Blue, and the majority have done fairly well. I mean, they've sold out, right, which is all Adidas care about. But reseller-wise, not great, and I've avoided each one of them. This shows how increasing the supply to increase sales, if done incorrectly and not subtly for a brand like Yeezy, does damage the brand. And at the end of the day, Yeah, Yeezys still win, right? They sell the shoes. You know, it's the resellers that lose. But that's not fully true. Over this time period, Yeezy also restocked shoes such as the Bread and Zebra, but they did also release a few models. Now, the new models being released at the moment in 2021 are showing the direction that Adidas actually want to take with Yeezy over the next few years and how they actually want to return to the top of the sneaker industry. They're going to do this by releasing extremely limited shoes again. Essentially, they're back to square one, similar to what they did in 2016 to generate hype for the first time, but instead, they've just got to do it all over again. Adidas are trying to get back to the top, and the perfect example of this, literally in play, is the new Yeezy Foam Runner Mineral Blue, I think it's called. Now, everyone has a different opinion on this shoe, first of all, but I love it. It's like a Croc, but better. It's a cooler version. Maybe I've fallen for the hype, but fair play Adidas. That is only a good thing from my point of view. This pair was super low stock, and I can't find exact figures, but just for context, AYCD Jake, who literally, no matter how hard the drop is, will hit hundreds, if not thousands of pairs, but he only hit one pair with an insane setup, and that wasn't good anti-bot. That was just a stupidly low stock release. This shows how they are literally trying to build up the demand by keeping it limited. Prices are good for a £70 shoe. Bear that in mind. But they do not reflect the stock of this drop at all. The prices are way too low. If you can only get one pair with a botting setup that literally costs probably near $100,000, selling them for around this price is not going to do any favors. It shows that, quite frankly, when the stock's low, the demand is not there. First of all, the foam runner's already been overproduced in too many colorways that literally look the same. This is the new silhouette to the Yeezy brand, and they've already pretty much washed it out. They keep on making the mistakes over and over again. And of course, this isn't the only reason. Don't get me wrong, you have undercutters and so many other reasons. But where is Yeezy going in the future? I don't know for sure, but if we look at Yeezy Mafia's upcoming drops, it does not look promising. It just feels like Adidas trying to do anything they can to get back to this top spot, but also make as much money at the same time, which I feel is like a conflict of interests. Obviously, it's business, and they need to make money, and I'll always respect making the bag, but ruining the Yeezy brand while doing it may have worse consequences for it in the long run. Yeezy Mafia are suggesting that the next few months in summer will be packed with restocks of old shoes though, so maybe Adidas think this nostalgia will make people remember the old, hyped up Yeezy brand, but I don't think so. It all feels like all this will do is just drag the brand down, making them seem unoriginal, just by re-releasing old colorways in hope to get more money. The only way I see this future to be promising is if Yeezy somehow released all these pairs with super limited stock. Personally, I am a big fan of the Yeezy slides though, and I would love more pair of these. I think this is probably one of their more promising colorways, such as the Yeezy Foam Runner, and I actually got myself a pair of these, and although they do feel like prison shoes, they are very comfy. So I have to give them that respect, and I do think people will buy this shoe because a Yeezy slide, and it's like $50. Resale prices aren't that great, but I do see these being very promising, and I do feel like these could have kept Yeezy afloat. Feels like Yeezy are getting cocky, and they started low and humble, slowly increasing the stock. Kanye did his Kanye, and he went crazy. Yeezy hype died due to the increased stock, and now they are back at the beginning. There's kind of a nice curve with this that you can see with stock numbers, and they're just back to where they started, and it feels like a stupid mistake that a brand supported by and literally in collaboration with Adidas shouldn't have made. I hope this video made sense. It's something that, from a reseller perspective, I do think about a lot because I haven't bought Yeezys in a while. I just don't see a future where Yeezys can keep on releasing and keep on being profitable for a reseller because there are way too many out there, and Adidas really need to sort their business strategies out. I hope you guys like this video, and hopefully Adidas can prove me wrong. I would love that if they could pull back Yeezys, go back to reselling for $300, $400, and as a brand can get, I mean, I don't know how they would, but get above the Jordan brand. That would be great. Now, if you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe to my channel where I talk all about botting and how to get the latest shoe releases. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and comment any of your opinions on what should have Yeezy done and what got them here in the first place. And I'll see you in another video.